Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Y'all are here for the final day of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway live stream. Congratulations, folks. Y'all have made it here to the very end. Today, we're going to be discussing buying a car, insurance, and we're going to talk a little bit about that final review. And then at the end of class, if you choose to stay during the last few minutes, it'll just be some sage advice from Steve because, you know, there's some lessons I've learned in life that I wish someone had just told me. So I give you all the opportunity if you want to hear it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's great. All right, let's see here. So, hi everybody. You are here once again live at 5 for your afternoon driving lesson with Steve, and we are going to learn buying a car, insurance, the Hernandez Driveway. All right, folks. So let's jump into today's lesson so we can get finished up. Oh my goodness, everything's all wonky. Sorry about that. My screen was being hilarious. Let's see here. All right, perfect. Okay, boom. So, buying a car, insurance, and final review. And thank you, as always, for those names in the chat. All right. So, purchase price versus sticker price. So, the sticker price is the price that they have listed on a piece of paper. One moment, let me grab it here. The price that they have listed on a piece of paper that is taped to one of the windows or the windshield of the vehicle. And the sticker price is what they would really like someone just to come up and pay. But the thing is that car dealerships are one of the last few places where you as a buyer have power, the power to negotiate. Vehicles have a MSRP. That's a manufacturer's suggested retail price. And that's how much they get to sell those vehicles for. Right? And they want to be as close to that number as they can because that's their profit margin, right? When a guy or a lady sells a car at a car lot, the more they get for that car, the more money they make. And the more above the break-even line they are, the more money they make. They get little bonuses and incentives for getting people to pay closer to sticker. All right? But unless you are in a seller's market, which literally means that the supply outweighs the demand. Well, what's that? PS5 or is a great example, right? Right? PS5 only recently has become available. And I think the PS5 is what, already 2? Right? But only recently has it become available in a way where if someone went, hey, I just won $800 in a scratch off, I'm gonna go buy me a PS5, and they will find one. All right? Until that moment, the demand was outweighing the supply. Until very recently, there were just way too many people that wanted one and not enough being sent to stores. All right, but now it's lightening up a little bit, and you know people are finding them in the wild again, or for the first time, I should say. Well, cars are exactly the same way. If the type of car you're getting is selling out before they can even get it there, if they've got people calling them up going, hey, I want to get this car. Oh, we don't have any in stock, but we've got 10 coming in on the truck next week. And they're like, all right, I'll take one of those. Oh, the price is going to be this much. Okay, I'll pay that. Then, boom, they're getting their MSRP. They're getting that maximum amount they can ask for. And so they're in control. Because if they want to go down on the price, they can. If they don't, they know that someone else will come up and meet their price. They know that someone will happily pay that price because it's happening right now. Because every day they're selling those kinds of cars for the MSRP, so they don't need your business in that situation. Now, conversely, on the other side of that coin, if they have 72 of the same car in that lot, and a bunch of them are even in the color that you want, then you are in an absolute position of power. Right? Because they have more than they need. The demand for those vehicles is not very high. And the one you're choosing out isn't even like, you know, something that they can argue, well, that's the last red one. That's the last blue one. No, it's one of 6 green ones. Okay? Or, you know, one of 11 white ones because nobody took the white car.
SWB audio capture, not registered.
But when you're in that position, you can just tell them, I want it for less. And they'll lower the price. They'll offer you more on your trade-in if you're trading in a vehicle so that it feels like they're working with you. But realistically, they have a number. All right, they have a number. Let's say it's 75%. Now let's be a little nicer to them and say it's 85%. If they dip below 85% of the sticker price, they make zero money, so there is no way under the sun that they are absolutely going to drop below that price. Now they have their basic sales number for metrics. That means they need to make a certain amount on a sale. They need to profit a certain amount on a sale in order to qualify to get paid for that, or to make enough money where the sale actually counts for something. Because selling a car and then getting $100 because you sold a car is rather disappointing for a car salesman. They're used to getting a significantly larger amount of money. Talking about sort of money I make in a month, they make in a sale. All right. So as long as you're above that number, as long as you're in that number where they're still going to make a paycheck, it's going to be real hard for them to tell you no. Right. So make demands. Hey, I would like this car $3,000 less than that sticker price, or $4,000 less. I mean, you'll know your budget. You'll know what you can afford. And if this car is $5,000 above your sticker price, try the $5,000. All right? But doesn't mean they're going to come down, and don't go further than you should. If you know you can afford this much and this much would be pressuring you, don't argue with yourself. But, you know, I can just do this or that. No, you need to understand your budget before you make these decisions. Right? And that's something you learn to do as an adult. You take, once you got bills and money coming
audio
in,
capture,
you figure out how to budget
registered.
real fast, or you lose your place. All right? But you're in that position of power, folks, so do not rob yourself of that. Don't just be like, okay, I'll take it. Okay? Because you don't have to. Right? Now, if you look online, you will find a car for the absolute cheapest you're going to. So don't expect a dealership to give you a better price than them, because online, their car is sitting in a warehouse that they probably pay like $3,000 for, that houses hundreds of cars, because it's out in the middle of nowhere and they're glad to be making money off of something, right? Whereas a dealership has a lot, they're paying taxes, they've got salesmen, they're doing advertising campaigns, they've got all kinds of stuff going on locally, and then the online presence. And those online dealers only have that online presence, and it is much cheaper to work offline. So if you see a car for something online, you know, boom, hey, that's the base price. If I can't get it for this much, or at least close to this much to where it's good for me, like it's convenient because I get to drive the car away, test drive it, make sure it feels comfortable first, or maybe pick out the one you want in person and then buy it online, because that will get you the best price. But understand that walking away is the most powerful thing you can do. My little brother wanted the vehicle that he has right now, but he wanted it for $3,000 less. Called me up, let me know what they told him. I looked him up online. I gave him the reasonable price that he should be paying, especially since I could get him one online delivered to his house for $3,200 less. And they came down $3,000 because he did one thing. He walked away. He's like, oh, you can't go down that much? Okay, never mind. I'm going to go shop online. And he just walked away. Didn't even make it to the door, and they stopped him. And they're like, well, maybe if you had, you know, more cash or a better trade-in. And he's like, oh, yeah, and on that, I'm going to give you $1,000 cash, and there's not going to be a trade-in. And the guy took it as his excuse.
Not registered.
Because I offered to buy his car during our conversation. They offered him nothing for his vehicle, and I was insulted. All right, now financing. All right, unless you have the cash to buy a vehicle outright, you are going to have to get a loan. All right, so APR is your annual percentage rate. This is the amount of money that the bank is charging you while you pay off the money. All right, if you pay off the money at an accelerated rate, the bank is going to charge you less because they're charging you based on what you still owe every month or every year, and it's broken down within the months. All right, but the better your APR or your credit score is going to affect your APR. Right, the better your credit score, the better your APR is going to be. But unfortunately, right now, y'all have no credit score, because a credit score is a number that lets companies know how good you are at paying your bills. If you pay late, don't pay at all, you'll have lower credit score. If you pay on time, you'll have a higher credit score. But this is how it works. Until you've established a bank account for 6 months with a positive balance of over $500, taken out a credit card in your name, or entered the workforce with a company that offers like benefits like stocks and interest and stuff like that. Until things like that happen, you have no credit score. Until you make yourself a known entity, you have no credit score. But once you start paying for something, right, you now are going to become somebody, right, as far as they're concerned. So that Netflix that you're borrowing from your cousin, since we're moving into the digital age, even digital companies like Netflix that realistically exist 99% online, I mean, they have offices, but Netflix is all about that online. So their reporting is also done online, and that makes it so much easier. Because now all these companies that have matriculated online are already telling people how good a payer you are. So just having these regular payments, even if it is something dinky like that, right? You got a monthly subscription to Hulu, Netflix. You have a bank account, like I said. You get yourself a credit card. But be careful with the credit card. We'll explain how to deal with that one. All right? Okay, right now y'all have no credit, which is worse than bad credit. All right? Companies have no idea what kind of payer you're going to be, and so they're going to charge you more. Okay? You need to start building your credit as soon as possible. And like I said, that's things like now, because we're in that digital age and everybody's in everyone's Kool-Aid thanks to online, well, Netflix can tell the credit bureaus that you're paying your bill on time. Set your stuff to auto pay, and you gain 2 or 3 points every single month to your credit score. Doesn't sound awesome, but think about it in the span of 10 years. 120 months times 2 points, it's 240. You start off at a base 400, and that's just from Netflix. You could be up at a 640. That's not a good credit score, but that's probably better than a lot of people have because they make mistakes. All right? Now, what's one of the ways we can build credit other than just starting to pay bills, joining the workforce, investing money in a stock portfolio, getting contract, renting a mortgage, or getting a mortgage from a company that does report? Well, the easiest way to do it is get yourself a credit card. All right? But we have to be responsible with our credit card because, here, let me tell you a quick story about me and a credit card back from when I was 18. When I was 18, I went to school one day, and this guy had the coolest t-shirts up on this thing. And I was like, sweet, are you selling shirts? I've got $10. I'd like to buy a shirt. And he's like, no, I'm giving shirts away. All you have to do is apply for a credit card.
Audio capture,
and I've got a dozen cards you're going to apply
registered.
for. And I'm like, really? I apply for a credit card, and what? Like, if I get denied, I don't get the card, nothing bad happens, and I get a t-shirt? And if I get approved, then I get credit cards where I can spend money. He's like, yeah, all the money you can get approved for. I'm like, okay, sure. So that day I got a whole bunch of t-shirts. I even gave away a couple t-shirts. I wrecked my credit score that day, mind you. Every time you apply for credit, you lose a little bit. When you get approved, you lose a little bit when you apply. And then once you get to that point where your credit's no longer good, you lose points every time you get rejected. So I got 2 credit cards out of that deal. That means I got rejected 10 times. So my credit score went from a 400, because that's where everybody starts, 400. And after 2 approvals, a $1,500 credit limit, a $2,000 credit limit, and average income of like $6,000 at that point, because I was working at a fast food restaurant, means my credit score was around a 150. Now, a 150 is the sort of credit score you wind up with if you've had a couple houses like repossessed. All right, should not be the score you start off with fresh into college because nobody bothered to explain this to you. So here you go. Every time you apply for any kind of credit, if it is not a secure credit check, your credit score will be impacted. Whether you get approved or denied, your credit's going to go down. Your credit score is going to go down. But getting that first approval, yeah, your credit score might go down to like 380, 350 even. All right, but then you use your card smart and you earn your points. And you use that to grind points. Just like the Netflix is going to help you out, well, only charge one thing a month on this card. And that one thing a month should represent 10% of the money you get every month. If all you get is an allowance of $50 a week or $20 a week or $10 a week, you figure out what 10% of that's going to be. All right, if you get $100 a month, that's $10. If you get $40 a month, that's $4. No matter what it is, or if you have a job and you go out and make $500 a month, then that would be $50 is 10%. And every month you're going to go out and pay for something that costs around your 10%, plus or minus 2%, just so that you know how much variation you have, so you know how able you are to pay it off. Don't go up or down by too much. All right, don't think 10% and do 40. No, like 10 and less than 12%. Right? Why? Because this is the money you're going to have to pay back in a hurry in the event you lose your job, in the event you lose your source of income. All right? So charge one thing that represents 10%. The more money you make, the more you can charge every month. And then when the bill comes in, you're going to see that whatever you charge is not the only amount on there. No, now there's also an interest fee. Now they're charging you money based on the amount of money they have loaned you. Right? Because that's how credit cards work. They lend you money, you pay them back that money, plus you charge interest for whatever your balance is on a monthly basis. And it doesn't seem too bad in the beginning. Okay? But when you get to high numbers and you realize that you're giving $50 and every month 35 is going on interest, then you see, hey, you know what, I'm not really getting out of this card, am I? I am now officially completely out of debt. I spent $1,200 that I had squirreled away to do that. Because, I just needed to. The interest was killing me, and the payment was lame. All my extra cash was going to that stupid card. So, man. Anyway, but charge one thing a month, like a tank of gas, all right, and pay it off. When that bill comes in, you pay it off, and you do it again. Why only 10%? Because in the event that you lose that job,
not registered.
I mean, if you made, let's say, $1,000 a month and you lost your job, chances are you'd have some cash. You wouldn't be flat broke when it happened, or you'd get a final check. And that final check may only be like 10% of what you make in a month, but it'll be enough to pay off that credit card. Because if you don't pay that card off and you let it go, the amount of points you gain in a year for making on-time payments, you lose by making one late payment, by not making one payment. And then the next month it happens again because you didn't make a payment. And after it happens the third time, you've now defaulted on there and over $50, but now you owe $300. Well, I get approved for these two cards. One of them, $500, and I max it out like that, and I forget about it. I just, I'm not gonna pay it. I was an entitled youth, just like so many people are nowadays. I was like, they shouldn't have given me that money. It was irresponsible of them. I'm a college student. No, it was irresponsible of me to spend it, but hey, I did it. And then I got another card, and I was a little more responsible with that one. I used it just like I was saying, get something, pay it off, get something, pay it off, get something, pay it off. But then something expensive I wanted came up, and I got stupid, and I spent it. And, well, lo and behold, I maxed out that card. And then I spent the next 2 years where all my extra money from, like, what I wasn't paying on rent and utilities was going to this one card trying to pay it off because I needed to. All right. But I still forgot about that $500 card. Fast forward to last year, and I get a phone call. And my $500 card is now worth $6,500. That's actually slightly under. It was above that, but it's worth more than $6,500. 13 times the original amount that I borrowed because of late payments, penalties. It's been sold to a dozen different companies, but now a law firm has it, and they're going to take me to court, and they have a rock solid case
SWB
because
audio capture not registered.
I even recognize the number on the card. I'm like, oh my God, that's that one damn Visa that I just let go. So no, they don't just vanish. They don't go away. They do chase you down, and that wound up costing me $2,000 because I settled. Because of a very specific set of circumstances that were going on in my life. I got a month extension, and in that month I was required to come up with $2,000. I went a large chunk of my savings, but life happens. All right, folks. But so don't think that credit cards are gonna be like free money that you get to spend and then it's never gonna catch up to you. No, it will catch up to you so far later in life, and now that we're the digital age, things are probably gonna change and it's gonna catch up to you faster and harder, folks. And if you're not able to handle it, the penalties can keep you under those payments forever. All right, they really can, so don't do it. Don't make that mistake. Charge the one thing a month. Now, you're technically paying for credit at this point, but that's okay because you're doing so any other time you pay for recurring service. I mean, Netflix may be worth $14 a month, to you, but you'd be much happier if it was 5. The reason we keep paying it is because it's what we have to. Well, we keep paying our bills because we have to, and we're going to get a good credit score. But we need to make sure that we maintain the ability to do that, and we don't overextend ourselves so that we wind up holding a big old bag of money, right? But there you're building credit. Those are tips on how to do it. Now, problems with buying a car, and the number one problem with car ownership is depreciation, right? Why? Well, depreciation is the value of your car decreases over time and once certain factors change, okay? The second you drive off the car lot with a car, it is depreciated. So let's explain that. All right, let's say you're looking at 2 different cars. They're identical. One's yellow, one's red. All right. They both cost 20 grand, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna buy the yellow one. You jump in your car, you're all excited. It's your first brand new car. You take a right, you go down the street, and as you're driving, somebody in a crosswalk goes, "Hey, it's the Banana Mobile!" And oof. Man, you know what? I was wrong. I wanted that red one, not this stupid yellow one. So you turn the car around and drive back to the dealership. Hey, man, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I want the red one, not this yellow one. And the dude's gonna be like, "Sure, no problem." So we'll give you $1,600 for the yellow car, and then you give us $20,000 for the red car. So now your total financing is gonna be $24,000. Let's go ahead and get that call in so we can make sure that you get approved for that amount. And you're like, whoa, hey, I just left with this car. And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but that car is now a previously owned vehicle. It's got 4 miles on it, but it's got 1 owner. This car right here, brand new, 0 owners." And see, in the second that happens, the value of your car changes. All right? Now, that's important because the number of owners, the number of miles, and the condition of the vehicle are the 3 factors that affect the value. And mileage and the number of owners affects it like a hammer smacking. I'm not even going to say something, but think of something that should not be smacked with a hammer. And whatever breaks your heart the worst, that's probably it, right? Because that's how those hit, right? The number of owners and the mileage just destroys the value of the car. But then we have the condition. And the condition, you basically have to keep your car as close to new as possible. Otherwise, they will depreciate the heck out of it even more. All right, your car is getting sun fading. Shouldn't have been parking it in the sun. Should have had a car cover. You know, your car needs a new paint job because it's all scuffed. Shouldn't have lived somewhere with so much dust and dirt. Like, they don't care. They depreciate the heck out of it. But condition, as long as it's not like wrecked condition and the inside has just normal wear, isn't going to affect it as badly as mileage and the number of owners. All right, so that means a car that's got 50 miles with 10 owners is worth way less than a car that's got a big old dent on the door, 1 owner, and 1,000 miles. Okay, think about that. All right. But yeah, folks. So when we do buy a car, we need to make sure that it's the one we want. And that's another advantage that online dealerships will have, because online dealerships will let you try out a car for a little while. They'll let you drive it, and if you choose not to, you decide you don't like it, registration under you doesn't go through, and you return the car. That's kind of fantastic, and dealerships aren't going to give you that option, but the dealership does let you test drive it first. That's why. All right? Now, what kind of car to buy? Well, first and foremost, buy the vehicle that you need right now. All right? I spoke with a young man the other day on a drive, and his parents just bought him a brand new 2023, I guess, yeah, because they just got it. So it had to be a 23 already. 2023 Camaro. And arguably, that is an amazing car. That is a beautiful car. That is an expensive car, and it was a very generous gift. Problem is this person's still learning how to drive, and now they have a muscle car. You don't need a car that goes vroom and takes off like a bat out of somewhere warm and fiery. When you're barely learning to drive. It's a little bit too much vehicle. But there's other reasons that it's not a great choice. All right? Because smaller cars are going to be more fuel efficient and aren't going to offer as much comfort and safety because they don't have the leg room. And when they say safety, they don't mean safety features, because generally smaller cars have better safety features than the larger ones, because less area has to get, or internal space has to get protected. So it's easier for them to design systems that
SWV
protect you
audio
better
capture
in those.
not registered.
But what they're referring to is in the event that when you crash into larger vehicles or other vehicles, if you're in a tiny car, you're more likely to get crushed than if you're in a giant SUV. That's what they mean by extra protection or extra safety. Now, larger cars are more comfortable, but they waste more fuel, all right? And then your engines. Sports cars and large vehicles generally have larger engines that make them less economical. So that means you're going to spend more money on gas and you're not going to go as far, right? Smaller engines, like for a Ford Focus, a Fiesta, maybe like a Mitsubishi Mirage or the Nissan Sentra, the vehicles with the 3 or 4 cylinder engines, they're going to be more economical. They're not going to have as much muscle. They're not going to have as much speed. And generally, they don't make them look as flashy. But what's your need? Do you need a vehicle that's a workhorse? Are you going to be hauling, like horse trailers and trailers covered in pacas of vegetables and stuff? Or are you going to be driving to and from college or high school and living in a suburban area? Okay. What do you need a vehicle to do for you? Do you have 10 brothers and sisters and you will be expected to take them out regularly and in different groups for different activities? Well, then maybe you need that big honking SUV. Is it just you? You're not going to drive anyone else. You're kind of an introvert. You don't plan on going out much, but you're getting your license and a car because you understand you need one. Well, then we don't need the big honking SUV, do we? All right. And then we have transmissions, automatic and standard transmission. If you don't know how to drive standard, I'm sorry, we don't teach that. We teach you how to drive, not shift gears. I don't know how to shift gears. It sucks. I tried to learn once, and the person, my dad, that was teaching me, after about 10 minutes, was like, oh, no, you just don't know what you're doing.
SWB audio capture not
And I
registered.
completely agreed with him, and he's like, yeah, well, you need to pull over. This lesson's done. I can't teach you to drive. He wanted me to already know how to drive, or drive a stick, so he could teach me to drive a stick. So, yeah. But if you can drive a standard vehicles generally maintain their value longer because, well, they stay in better condition because that manual shifting ensures that the vehicle shifts right when it needs to, not after it's been working hard for a few seconds longer than it should have, right? That's the beauty of standard transmission. But buy the vehicle you need, all right? If you're going to be working as, like a Domino's delivery driver while you go to college and you go to college a half an hour away from home, then you probably need a car that gets lots of gas mileage. You need a small economy car. If you're going to be working on your grandpa's horse ranch and you're going to be moving animals and you're going to be, bringing in food and buying Sweet A and Jumbo for the other livestock, whatever, then you need a truck, you need an SUV. Buy the vehicle that matches your actual needs right now. You want a flex car? Get the flex car after you have your education. Why? Because insurance. And we're going to get to why insurance is a nightmare with the flex cars. But for real, folks, my first vehicle was an SUV, but it was a 4-cylinder. And I got a deal on it. I bought it from family, and Purple Glitter was an amazing car, except that it was painted purple glitter that shone like rainbows in the sunshine. I'm sure you can guess the jokes that were made about me because of that vehicle, but you know what? Everybody loved that car. I even had a flag-waving member of GLAD tell me I needed to sell it to him. And I was like, no, you find your own Pitmobile. So, leasing a vehicle. Leasing a vehicle is when we choose to lease a vehicle the way we lease an apartment. We agree to pay for a term of time, a certain amount of money with some money down that we don't get back. And then we get to use a car as long as we follow a few simple rules for the term of that lease. So most leases are 2 or 3 years, all right? You lease a car for 3 years, and then at the end of that 3 years, you return it. You give them another down payment, another deposit, and then you start making payments on a new car. But the thing is you're never going to have to worry about cars breaking down on you because they're getting old. You're always going to be driving a newer car with the newer features. Okay? But unfortunately, you're never going to own your car, right? And then another downside with the leasing is normally there's mileage restrictions. And if you put too many miles on the vehicle, you have to pay more. Now, a friend of mine with his very first lease did not pay attention to the amount he was going to have to pay per mile. So when he went over 1,000 miles, he was like, no big deal. It's like a nickel. You know, I can give him, you know, $20, or $50. I'm not going to cry. And I was like, you know what, buddy? That's cool. You feel that way. I'm glad. Let's take a look at your lease. And he's like, what do you mean take a look at my lease? And I'm like, yeah, you're going to go turn the car in tomorrow, right? And he's like, yeah. But you have the paperwork in the car right now because you're the kind of guy that threw it in the glove box and never looked at it again, right? And he's like, I looked at it. I'm like, it's in the glove box though, right? Yeah. So we went and got his contract. And then I looked at it. And I looked up and I smiled and I go, let's put your car on a flatbed. And he's like, why? Because it'll be cheaper for us to drive it over there on the flatbed and deliver it than it will be for you to drive it the distance. And he looks at the contract. He's at 50 cents a mile. And his 1,000 miles is $500. He was expecting to pay 50. Okay. Pay attention to the lease on these things. Another problem with it is your dream car. All right, let's say you lease this vehicle. All right, it's originally a $40,000 car, and you're making $400 payments every month for 3 years. All right, so that's 14,400, right? All right, so that's $14,400 that you've given them over 3 years. Okay, well, they're going to first explain to you how 7,000 of that was all interest. So, all right, and then they're going to hit you up for your mileage. So we're going to add that on to what you now owe. And you're like, but you know what though? I love this car and I really do want to buy it. So how much is to pay it off? They're going to be like, no problem. Well, we already eliminated that 7,000. We add the overage that you have on your mileage here. No, but I'm buying the car from you. No, but you still have to pay that overage because it was our car when you went over on the mileage. So we've added that on here. And so now what you have to give us is $13,700. And you're like, but I gave y'all $14,000 on a $20,000 car. They're like, yes, but this was interest. And so that's how much this car is going to cost you. And then you look over at a car lot, like straight out his window, because if the irony's there, the cars will be parked right there. And you'll be able to see that identical cars with similar mileage are selling for half as much. And you're like, why are those cars cheaper than this car? And they're going to smile at you and they're going to tell you, because this car's only had one owner. And if you buy it, it will still only have had one owner. That car, if you buy it, will officially have had 2 owners. And doesn't matter if everything else is the same. That car's had 2 owners. This car's had 1 owner. This car's worth more until he sells it. Because someone that buys that one is going to become the 3rd owner. Someone that buys this one becomes the 2nd owner. So that car depreciates in value more. This car depreciates in value more when you sell it. That's how it works.
SWB
right,
audio
so
capture, not registered.
you will wind up paying more to keep your dream car, the car that you built the memories with, or you can just go to the same model, same color, similar mileage, and hope that the other person took care of their car. Okay, that's my biggest problem with leasing, because that balloon payment at the end, and that's what they call it, a balloon payment, because they're full of it if they think that that's reasonable, but that's how it works. Okay, so if you do lease a car though, you also have one other little thing that you have to remember. Once you own a vehicle, you can have whatever level of car insurance you want. Until you own the vehicle, while you are still paying for a vehicle, every single leasing agency, every single company that would possibly lend you money to buy a car, when you go to the dealership, the people that are funding the purchase have it in paper on the contract that you will maintain full coverage on that vehicle for the duration of the sale, because if that car gets totaled, stolen, or whatever, they want to make sure that they get paid. And that's the only way they can ensure that, is to make sure that that's on that contract. And so now you have to maintain that. But remember, at 18 years old, full coverage on an economy car is going to be around $280. On a truck or SUV will be about $350. And on a sports car could be closer to $500 a month. So that's the other problem with leasing a vehicle. Leasing a vehicle may be a little cheaper than buying it, but it always comes with that same hang up of full coverage. Because let's talk about car insurance now, right? We've talked about buying the car a little bit. No, let's talk about insurance, this thing that I just made sound damn expensive, because it is. But you know what? It's expensive for a reason, because in the event that you actually need to use it, the payouts that they make are amazing. All right, so check it out. Every law has financial responsibility, or every state has financial responsibility laws. Right? Here in the great state of Texas,
not registered.
The minimum required is liability insurance. All right, liability basically is proof that you can pay for damages you might cause. Okay, because it only covers the other car in the collision. They don't care if you can pay for your hospital bill. They don't care if you can, get another car for yourself. They want to make sure that the other person who wasn't responsible is taken care of. And unfortunately, that's as it should be, right? The person that was not at fault needs a vehicle to get to work. They need to be able to pay for medical coverage from injuries sustained in a car accident. That's why it's important to have car insurance. But liability doesn't cover all that. It just covers the car. Okay, whatever damage you do to their car, up to, I believe it's $65,000 in Texas. It might be 45. But it's probably 65 just based on how much a freaking new car costs nowadays. I'm sure some insurance bigwig got that pushed up. Yeah, liability insurance only covers the other car. So it's kind of like a slice of bread in a sandwich, right? You can call 2 slices of bread a sandwich, but it's a lame sandwich, and just liability is lame car insurance. All right, now we got bodily injury insurance. Bodily injury insurance is going to pay for all the injuries that you and the people in the other vehicle suffer, and anyone in your vehicle suffers at the time of the collision. Someone breaks an arm, someone knocks out a front tooth, someone ruptures a spleen. Whatever happened at the moment of the accident is going to get covered, and up to $45,000 per person to a maximum of $120 or $90 or something like that, $1,000. So you can run out of that one real fast, but it takes care of all those immediate bills that you won't wind up getting sued over. So bodily injury is not a bad one, but it doesn't really do anything for you as the person driving the car unless you get hurt, right? Unless it was your fault. So bodily injury is kind of like your favorite sauce, maybe a nice spicy mustard. It definitely makes things taste a little better, but it's not adding any substance, nothing substantial for you at least. All right, then we have property damage insurance. And this is kind of like adding pickles. Yes, it's making it better, but still not really a lot better for you. What this is doing is this is covering in case, I don't know, you swerved to avoid hitting some lady that was texting, or, some doopy guy was trying to pass someone in a no passing zone, and you swerve off the road to avoid hitting them, and boom, you take out a fence. Now, was it that lady or that guy's fault you took out the fence? No. It would have been their fault had you crashed with them. But this situation, you chose to not crash with a human, and you accepted responsibility for the damage you caused to reduce the damage to that person. Unfortunately, they're not liable for any of this because you swerved off the road. You can sue them, and in civil court, you can win some money. Not that they can force them to pay. Take them to Judge Judy. Judge Judy pays all the time. That's why people are so happy even when they lose at Judge Judy. That's how those legal shows work, in case you didn't know. But property damage, still not doing something awesome for you. It's just taking care of the damage that you chose to do to that property. Or maybe, you were drinking and you drove off the road because you just drove off the road and you hit their house, right? Property damage will take care of that. It'll take care of their dog, their cat, their horse, their cow, their mailbox, their fence, their house, their boat, everything but their car, because, and it'll even take care of their car if their car was parked. So property damage insurance is protecting you from there. Like I said, this is definitely giving us more, and so this is like, nice thick slices of pickles, your favorite ones, bread and butter for me, but still not really satisfying, not really doing a ton for me. This is just really still keeping me out of having to pay for other stuff or other people's stuff. And then we have medical payment insurance, because sometimes, you get injured, like my cousin Joe, and at that point of the accident, they realized that something was wrong. But then that driver's medical payment insurance kicked in and had to pay for emergency surgery because They missed 3 blood clots in my cousin Joe's leg, and they needed to go in and catch him with a filter, because if they didn't, he was going to have a stroke and die. But medical payment insurance covered that. Unfortunately, it was his medical payment insurance, because he also had the last one we talk about today. Now, medical payment insurance, once again, this is like a good cheese, because we are totally getting something good for this. All right, you think you're fine, and then the next day, suddenly you're yellow, and you're like, oh my God, I think I punctured my liver yesterday, and that is exactly what would happen, aside from the fact that that would hurt like a mother. You would get jaundiced if you ruptured your liver or your pancreas, so if that ever happens after an accident, go to the hospital. But this takes care of those things that are after the fact. The person needs physical therapy to recover. This will cover that as well, because that's medical payment insurance. All right, and once again, it's like $45,000 or $65,000 that they cover. That's money protecting you. And now we get to the real deal. We get to your favorite sandwich filler. All right, now I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, so you'll pardon me, but my favorite sandwich filler, that's going to be some nice, delicious pastrami. All right, I'll even rock some turkey pastrami for the healthier aspect of it, but it's pastrami. If you're a vegan, maybe some tofu. If you're a vegetarian, it could be a bunch of things. But maybe you really like eggs in your sandwich. Whatever it is, but your favorite filler for your sandwich, and that's what collision insurance is like. Because this is the insurance that takes care of your car. So that when you crash, your car gets paid for, even if it was your fault. You still get to get your car fixed, and you are not left without a ride, and that's why this is the sandwich meat. This is the filler. This is the source of protein for you. This is your favorite thing in the sandwich, all right? Collision insurance, because this is where you add it to liability and covers the other car, covers your car. Boom! The most important things, other than life, of course, are covered. The ones most likely to be damaged, because most collisions aren't like all about, oh my God, my spleen is ruptured. No, most accidents are like, you jerk, you just put a huge gouge along the entire side of my car. Not really a I'm hurt situation, more a you need to fix my car situation, right? Because that's where most collisions are. They're the smaller ones, and then when we have the deadly ones, that's when people pay attention, right? But the most common ones are going to be these smaller ones, the ones that just do damage to vehicles. So collision and liability generally covers you for most of the stuff you have to deal with, okay? Then we've got comprehensive insurance. This covers everything outside of collisions. Car theft, floods, freaking tree falls down in a hurricane, lands on your car. That's covered. Lightning strikes your car. That was God. Meteorite strikes your car. Once again, that was God. Acts of God may not be covered. Check your insurance policy. Ask the people that you get insurance from when you sign up. Hey, are acts of God covered? Because I'm kind of an unlucky person. Or at least that's what I say, because I'm kind of an unlucky person. If I can get hit by lightning, so can my car. All right? And then uninsured, underinsured motorists. The final thing on this list that we'll be discussing, and it's probably the most important, down here. And let me tell you why. All right? Uninsured, underinsured motorist functions exactly like every other freaking thing on here, except collision, but for the other person. Oh my God. So if someone's driving around with no insurance and you have uninsured motorist, you're covered, as long as your insurance policy would cover it. Oh no, wait, that's not accurate. As long as a full coverage policy would cover it, your uninsured, underinsured motorist will cover it. So you don't even have to have an amazing policy. You can have liability and an uninsured, underinsured. And if the person that hits you, the person that's at fault, has no insurance, yes, your insurance rates are going to be the one that go up, but they will take care of your vehicle, your bodily injury, your property damage, okay? And what else do you need? Your body, your car, your property is taken care of, right? You just bought your new PS5 and the crash destroyed it. Hey, that gets claimed in the insurance and you get that money in there too, because you had uninsured, underinsured motorist. But check it out. Let's say they only have liability and that happens and your PS5 is destroyed. It still covers, because that's property damage, not not something coverable by liability. So your uninsured, underinsured motorist will shield you from someone that doesn't have good enough insurance. So in reality, as long as you're not at fault, you can roll around with liability and uninsured and you're golden. But that's if you're not at fault. That's if you are a perfect person. Since we're not, collision's the one that protects you from you. Okay? But all of these together make up full coverage. Right? And this is important. We need to know what these things are covering because we're going to pay for them for the rest of our lives, basically, because every state requires we have some kind of insurance. And I do not have $55,000 to go dump at the state comptroller's office or the sheriff's office or
SWB audio
the county
capture,
judge's
not
office.
registered.
I ain't got that kind of loot so that I don't have to have car insurance ever again as long as I don't crash. But you might, maybe. Okay. But if you don't, then you're going to be paying for this for the rest of your life. And you need to know what the stuff does. All right? So liability covers the other person's car, not yours. That's the minimum requirement. Because if you're at fault, the state wants to know you can fix the mistake you made in someone else's life, not your own. They don't care about your own. That's why collision isn't required. They just want to make sure that the person not at fault gets taken care of because it wasn't their fault. Okay? That's liabilities for. Bodily injury, once again, injury sustained at the time of the accident. Property damage, damage to anything including a parked car, but not limited to any property of the owner. All right? Pets, livestock are property. Okay? Our little homies are not classified as sentient beings, so they do classify as property. Some dude runs over your prize-winning dog. There is a number that they will set on the value of your pooch. All right, if he was a big old mutt, that guy's going to argue that it was $50 because you can go adopt one for that price. And then your lawyers can argue whatever they want if you choose to pay for lawyers. But that's how property damage works. It just covers anything that's considered property. All right. Medical payment insurance is for long-term care, recurring fees after the fact issues that resulted directly from the accident. They can prove their back was fine before the accident. After the accident, they need physical therapy. Your medical payment insurance will cover that physical therapy because you have the insurance. Collision insurance is the one that protects you and yours in the event that you make the poor mistake of doing something that causes a collision don't realize. Stop paying attention. That's all it takes.
SWB audio capture, not registered.
That collision covers you in that event. All right, and that's something that does something for you. All right, comprehensive, that's like another sauce, maybe another kind of cheese, some sliced avocado. No, I think sliced avocado, some thinly sliced avocado, way too thin to be filling. That's what the comprehensive is. Because do you live in a floodplain? If you do, well, you already know this, and you're going to buy a vehicle that's higher than what the water rises to typically, or park it somewhere on high ground. If you don't have that option, well, then you're going to have comprehensive. And then uninsured, underinsured, that was for me, that was like bacon, because it just makes everything better. Even if all you have is liability, that uninsured, underinsured just does so much for you when it's the other person's fault, folks. Definitely something you want to have. But if you're leasing or you're buying a brand new car by law, by contract, you are required to have all of this. Right? Because once you sign into a contract, you have to follow that contract or you can be found liable in court. Right? That means you are legally responsible for that money. So once you buy a car, you are legally responsible to maintain full coverage or pay off the car in the event that something happens and it's like total loss, whatever. Right? So car insurance. We get what we need, but please, folks, even if you own the car, if someone buys it for you outright, or you got a used car, whatever your situation is, if you're choosing to just go with liability, please, 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 at the very least, get yourself that uninsured, underinsured motorist, because it's something like 1 out of 10 people is driving around without car insurance. You can look up statistics in the state of Texas and in the nation, but it's stupid. Down here, the problem's worse because people believe that you need to have a license to get car insurance. You don't. Your insurance is way more expensive if you don't have a license, but you can have car insurance without a driver's license. People don't know this. They believe that they can't, And so they don't cover their cars, they drive dirty, and then when they crash, if you ain't got that uninsured, underinsured, you're hosed. All right, so do it, folks, please. Make sure that you've got the right policy when you are responsible for your stuff. All right, and if you don't remember any of this, look it up online when you are finally paying for your stuff. All right, come on, next. Yeah. You're being very difficult, slideshow. Thank you. So what affects how much you pay? Your driving record, right? The more tickets you have, the more your car insurance company is going to charge you. And as long as they can reasonably prove that there's a correlation to it and an increased risk in accidents, they get to do so. So it is proven that if you speed a lot, you're more likely to crash because you're speeding. And remember, speed determines stopping distance. So the speed may not be the problem. You may have the best reflexes in the world, but because you were speeding, you just didn't have the space you needed. And you crashed. But that's what happens when you choose to speed. So don't speed, right? Don't get tickets. And even parking tickets, park in a fire zone, too many times, they'll just, park in a fire zone, they might just tow your car. But get too many parking tickets and you can even lose your license, folks. So avoid all tickets, right? Age. Gentlemen, you will see a drop at the age of 25 because statistics show that is when we start paying enough attention to the roadway to cut down 90% of the accidents that we have. Ladies, you get that same discount at 21 because women are better drivers. Now, I can say this with a straight face and in all honesty, and I'm probably upsetting a few guys right now. But
SWB
the only
audio
reason they get
capture,
to charge
not
more for
registered.
men until they're 25 is because the statistics show that we get in more accidents up until the age of 25. As a matter of fact, the way a man drives when he's 25, women drive that way when they're 21. That's why they get their discount then. Guys, we can fix this though. Drive safe, be amazing, don't give in to peer pressure, and tell other people the same thing. And if every single dude on the planet starts doing it, every dude in the nation at least, then guys will get their discount at 21. The fact that we still don't get it until 25, and it's been that way since I was 18, is because guys just haven't statistically gotten better as drivers until they're over 25. So it's a development thing. We're not getting away from it. Women are better drivers, especially early on. They have better focus. All right, gender, guys will always pay more than ladies because men are statistically more likely to be involved in accidents, even in states where more drivers are women. I love statistics because statistics don't lie. Statistics are an honest opinion based on the actual data. And because it's not really an opinion, it's a fact. So we can't argue with this, but people like to rip on other people for being bad drivers. I'm not saying every guy's a bad driver. One of the best drivers that I've met since I became a driver's ed instructor, one of the best incumbent drivers, I should say, was a young man. I told him what was wrong with his driving on lesson 1, on lesson 2 through 7, and I had all 7 with him. I was very lucky to do so. Or I had 6 with him, and I got to do the last one. But every lesson after that could have gotten in the 90s on his driving test because he chose to make that choice. Only one person, though, has done that, right? And I have met a couple ladies that their ability to learn and comprehend and get that driving skills
SWB
down
audio
quickly,
capture, not registered.
and I've met a couple of them that are just phenomenal drivers, right? And I'm just lucky there was a couple, but most people are just regular drivers, right? It's the decisions that we choose to make that make these statistics true. So y'all have that power to choose, power to change, right? Remember? All right, so choose to be a good driver, and we can fix these damn numbers so everyone gets a discount at 21. All right? Now, miles driven, the more you drive, the more time you spend on the road, the more likely you are to get into an accident. Therefore, the more you have to pay. However, when COVID happened, millions of Americans and people worldwide, billions of people worldwide, in fact, were driving a lot less because we weren't going out and clubbing and pleasure cruising and stuff like that because everyone was holed up trying to avoid the Rona. But our insurance rates didn't go down. They should have, But insurance companies weren't going to take that kind of loss because the pandemic would have probably shut them down because every accident would have impacted their bottom line that much harder. So unfortunately, nobody got a discount for that. However, if your mileage does go up from one year to the next, they will definitely raise your rates. So try to be consistent with your driving, and if you are going to go on like a really long trip, maybe rent an economy car just so you don't get a boost in your insurance rates. All right. But yeah, the more miles you drive, the more likely you are to get into an accident. Therefore, the more you pay. Marital status. This year, someone, while setting up my insurance policy change, accidentally set my fiance as my wife, and my insurance rates went down by 20%. Now, I can't guarantee that for everyone, but after asking my actual insurance guy after he got the problem fixed, I was like, so that 20% difference, he's like, it's probably actually closer to 18 for most people. And I was like, okay, so I'll take his word for it that an 18% drop is pretty close to standard becoming married. So, I guess it's that whole married people have something to live for, unless you ask a married person, and then they're going to make the joke they have something to die for too. But married people do tend to drive safer, possibly because married people are also more likely to have children in the car. Who knows? All right. And then the type of vehicle that you drive affects how much you pay. A sports car will cost more than a Hummer, than an SUV. Okay. A Pontiac, no, let's forget Pontiac because they don't make that one anymore. A Charger. Okay. A Charger that is brand new, driven by an 18-year-old male, will have a higher insurance rate than a brand new Hummer driven by an 18-year-old male. Think about that. A car that is worth $45,000, $50,000 is cheap or more expensive to insure than what is arguably a $90,000 or $100,000 car. Why? Because the statistics based on accidents. All right. I drove a 2000 Pontiac Firebird. That car was old. It was worth $1,400 the day that I bought it, and I had to put $1,600 into just getting it running. That means that car had been totaled by sitting in someone's yard and depreciating. That's okay. I needed a car. I had cash, but I didn't have enough to buy something reliable. They let me spend the $2,000 that I had fixing the car and then pay them off in pavements, so it worked out because I was not going to get a good reliable car for $2,000. And in fact, I did. Well, it was $3,400, but that's all right.
SWB audio capture,
but
not registered.
Right now, for a Ford Escape 2010 and a 2015 Ford Fiesta, we didn't do that on purpose. It was just the car that I wound up with, and that was the car my fiance got. Her brother has a Mitsubishi. But with those two vehicles, I am paying $5 less than what I was paying for that 2000 Pontiac Firebird. Now, my cars right now have an estimated total value of $14,800, and that car had an estimated value of $2,000, roughly. Okay? We'll be generous and call it $2,000. It was way less than that. It was closer to $1,000, as I previously stated, but we'll call it $2,000 just so this doesn't sound as horrible. It cost me $60 more a year to insure that car. Why? Because sports cars, people drive them like sports cars. They accelerate too quickly, they make aggressive lane changes, and they speed. And so sports cars are going to cost you more than a standard SUV. The cheapest car you can get, it's in order of least expensive to most expensive, it's economy car, sedan. Okay, sedan is like just a regular size 4-door car with some luxury space, like a Cadillac. Cadillac's a sedan, all right? And then we're going to have everything in between a sedan and a minivan, like the station wagon-y type stuff. All that, then minivans, then SUVs, then trucks, then sports cars. And none of this is based on the value of the vehicle. None of this is based on the age of the driver. It's all based on the type of the vehicle. Why? Because As long as they can make the statistics show that the car is dangerous, they get to charge more. Now, if they made the statistics particular, like, all right, so you are a female between the age of, say, 35 and 50, which is a pretty normal demographic to consider.
Registered.
Among them, tickets in sports cars, is that higher or lower than the median? If it's higher, then maybe y'all should be charged more. If it's lower, then you should definitely be charged less. But they don't look at those details that deeply. They just look at the overall figures so they can have those more expensive rates. They only pick and choose when it's going to save the money or when it's going to make the money. The rest of the time, they like blanket statements because it lets the cash come in. So blanket statements, sports car drivers are less safe than any other kind of vehicle, right? You want low insurance rates, you want a car that gets you somewhere cheap, and you want a car that's not super expensive, get an economy car, all right? And don't think that electric cars have zero carbon footprint, because here in the state of Texas, 40% of the electricity generated is generated by green means. The other 60% is still fossil fuels. Okay? So that means even electric cars cause pollution. Thank you very much. All right, let's see here. Color of your vehicle. Red, blue, and yellow, high visibility colors are going to cost more. Why? Because thieves notice them more, and the police notice them more in traffic. Conversely, white, black, or silver vehicles are more often used as fleet vehicles. Fleet vehicles means they're company vehicles. That's why all the little Ford Rangers we see running around here are white. And when we don't see one in white, we don't think of it as an anonymous vehicle. We think of that as a person's car. But if we see a white one, we're like, man, another white Ranger. We're thinking that it's some lawn company or a school district or somebody, because that's the kind of vehicle that they use regularly here. All right, silver generally goes to the professions that want to appear more professional, and then black is just that go-to choice for anyone that wants a car that looks great when it's clean, okay? But those three colors are used more as company vehicles, and those three colors are also not as easy to spot on the roadway as the nice, bright, vibrant colors. So the color of your vehicle will matter. If you drive a yellow sports car, you will pay way more than a person driving a black economy car. Plain and simple. The difference is gonna absolutely enrage you. You'd probably wind up paying double that. Even if the economy car is worth more. Why? Because that's how they roll. That's how they want their statistics to work out. But this does matter, because at the end of the day, white, black, or silver vehicles are less likely to be involved in accidents. Because being fleet vehicles, people are less likely to be drunk driving in them, therefore that's less accidents affecting that. People are less likely to be driving them for an extended period of time, like 20 hours, like you do your personal car, so there's less likelihood of those kinds of accidents happening. And all the limiting factors of it being a working vehicle cut down on that liability, and it makes them, and it makes the fact that they use those for that, makes your privately owned vehicle of the same color cheaper to insure, because vehicles of that color don't get into a lot of accidents. Go figure. So there you go. So if you're adamant about getting yourself a sports car, black, white, or silver, just to help yourself on the payment. And then where you live. I used to live in the ghetto. I lived in an area in McAllen called La Paloma. And if I say that to someone like 20 years older than me, they start talking about how back in the 70s, things were super bad there. I was like, well, thank goodness I lived there in the 90s when, all I had to worry about was my car getting stolen or my neighbor selling a bunch of drugs and stuff going down. That's why Steve slept, next to a concrete wall. But, that wasn't terrible. I didn't have a bad experience there, but my car insurance rates, once I moved out of there, they dropped $100 a month, and I was like, why did my rates change? Oh, the area that you live in changed.
SWB audio capture, not registered.
I moved 10 blocks away from where I was at. Yes, sir, but statistically, the area that you were in, and the lady looked at the numbers, and she's like, I'm kind of surprised you never called us to report your car stolen. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, where you live, higher crime rates. You're going to have higher insurance. Lower crime rates, lower insurance. That's why property values skyrocket when lots of professionals move in, because lower crime rates, and it affects things like that. It's kind of awesome. All right, but what else affects, right? Well, you can pay monthly, quarterly, or yearly for your car insurance, And depending on how much you're paying at once, you can save yourself a little bit of money or some serious money. All right, so I asked last time I renewed just for a quote on it, and the guy told me, well, for 10 months worth, and he gave me the exact number, but he's like, it was within like $3 or $4 of 10 months worth. I could get a full year if I paid it all at once. All right, or I would save $30 if I paid 3 months worth at a time. Now, for me, that was a saving of like 3%, and I was like, not interested in that 3-month one at all. And that other one I was kind of interested in, but I didn't find myself with $2,700 that I could just throw away. So, didn't do it. All right, but maybe next time. Maybe next time. All right, so paying more at once can be a big savings, but you have to have that money all at once. I've developed a system where I use my income tax return to pay important bills for the whole year. And, like car insurance was something that I did pay for once like that. And I saved some money. And every month it was $200 that I didn't have to come up with. And that helped me save money at that time. So, it can be beneficial to use all your play money around income tax season to take care of something like this, or your cell phone for the whole year once you're adulting. And then you have extra play money during the year itself, especially helps around Christmas time. You get an extra $100
not
floating
registered.
around, kids going, I want, in your life. All right, let's see here. And then deductibles. All right, so even though you pay every single month for car insurance, you also have what's called a deductible. All right, and the deductible is your portion of what you pay whenever you make a claim. All right, so let's say you get into an accident and cause $4,000 worth of damage. All right, if your deductible is $500, that means that even though you pay every single month, if you want that car fixed, you're going to have to shell out $500 for the deductible, and then the insurance company will pay $3,500 to finish the repairs. Now, in reality, it's not a horrible hustle. It's not a bad deal because it basically prevents small claims from customers. All right, if a customer had $100 worth of damage to their vehicle, well, your deductible is $500. You have to pay for the whole thing, and that's what this is about. It's about keeping frivolous claims on insurance out. Oh, I got a scratch on my door. I want it repainted, and now they have to do $200 worth of work and pay the $200 for someone that's probably paying them $250 every time they get a little scratch. So the deductible protects them from that. So it's not a bad thing. It's actually helping us out a little bit because it keeps us from turning into Karens with our car insurance. All right, but check it out. You could pay a little bit less every single month and have a higher deductible, or you could pay a little bit more every single month and have a lower deductible. Now, this can be beneficial, but again, we have to figure out, is it worth it? All right, so if your deductible goes down by $200, but every month you're paying $50 more, well, it is going to be easier to come up with $50 a month than it is $200 more when you already need, or $300 more. Okay. But at the end of the day, to have that lower deductible, if you're paying $50 more, that's $600 a year.
Registered.
So that if you have an accident, you pay $200 less. Now, if you're paying $50 less for a year and your deductible goes up by $300, well, yeah, you did save some money, but in the event of a collision, it's very hard to come up with $500. $800 could be nearly impossible for some people. All right, so keep the deductible at an amount that helps you. But once again, Steve has a pro tip on car insurance, because on top of this, we could be super smart, right? So every month you're spending 10% of your wages on your credit card, and then you're paying that off so that you can build your credit. Well, another thing we want to do, another thing to help us in a time of crisis and in a situation where we need money now, well, that's when we have an accident. So every month we're going to take 20% of what we make. So let's say you can charge $20 a month because that's 10%. Well, 20% is going to be $40. Okay? But we're going to take those $40 and we're going to put it in an envelope, and on that envelope is written deductible/emergency repairs. And you just pay into this and pay into this and pay into this until you get it to your deductible. Now, if you get it to the $500 and you then want to switch your plan so that you have an $800 deductible, well, save up those $300 with the money that you're saving on the insurance payments so that you have those $800. But see, now you're covered with money in case your car breaks down. And if that's the case, you build it back up to that amount. Or if you have an accident, boom, you have the whole deductible right there. You don't have to worry about it affecting your budget right then and there. And once that money's put away, you don't have to put money away anymore. So now that's just a little emergency fund. It's no longer your money, it's your car's money. And your car doesn't want you messing with their money. He, she, or they wants that money to be there because they don't want to be broken down for a long time.
Not registered.
Okay, a car that sits there without running for 6 months has additional problems in addition to whatever it already had that was stopping it from moving. Now there's other stuff going on. Okay, in reality, you shouldn't park a car for more than a month without trying to start it. So we definitely want to be able to take care of these things right away, folks. And that means we want to have that deductible on hand in the event that we have an accident. Right? So take that money, put it away. Now, if you know you can't trust yourself, you're going to be like, oh my God, I have $500, I'm getting a PS5! If you know, I don't know why I keep bringing up a PS5. I think it's because I listened to a thing on YouTube. Anyway, but you know, if that's the direction that you know you're going to go, then have someone responsible take care of it. When I say someone responsible, I mean someone like legit could starve to death and they wouldn't touch your money without permission. Like that level of responsible. Like my mom, I could give her $10 million and she would starve to death because she would not be willing to admit she needed help or money or anything from me. So if I gave her that money to hold on to, I know it'd be there when I needed it. She'd be like, it's right here, all of it's here. I never even touched it. Right. My dad, on the other hand, would be like, oh man, I could use me a new impact drill. Oh look, Steve's got $800 in here. Well, he doesn't need that right now. It's just sitting here doing nothing. I'll buy an impact drill and maybe go to dinner with my lady. And oh, my car broke down. I gotta fix that. It does say emergency car repairs. I'll pay him back though. And then I got a paper in there that says I owe you $800. And I might see, $50 a month until it gets paid off. But I'm not gonna have the money that I need for my deductible. All right. So if you need to have somebody else hold it for you, boom. All right. It's a good
SWB audio
because
capture,
in the event of a crash,
not registered.
the last thing you need to worry about is now I can't get to work. How the heck am I supposed to come up with another $300 or $400? I don't have that money right now. All right, so put it away. And as soon as you got to put away, just forget that envelope is there until you have a collision. All right, once you have that collision, you be like, yes, now is the time. Or your car breaks down. At last, you shall be spent and my car shall run. All right, fix your stuff. All right, because it's much easier to find an extra $50 a month than it is to pay out $800 at once. But that's the exact same reason why it's easier to put that money away a little bit at a time to have it than have to pay it all at once out of the money that you're normally working with. All right, so the same reason it's not a terrible idea to go with the higher or the lower deductible is the same reason that it's not a terrible idea to put that deductible away first, because yeah, it's a lot easier to come up with nothing because you already have it in an envelope than it is to pull $800 out of the air, because I just tried real hard and I could not make it happen. All right, now how can you save on insurance? Be a good student. All right, if you're getting all A's and B's and your parents have a reputable insurance company, that's how you can tell if your insurance company's good. Do they offer you a discount for good grades? If the answer is no, you need a better insurance company, because there's going to be someone that's going to offer you a better rate most likely, unless you have some amazing VA sort of insurance because your parents were veterans. And then, yeah, they may not offer that, but I think they actually do. So anyway, I don't think that's even an issue there. All right, but be a good student and do not take a year between high school and college. You finish in the spring, start college in the fall, keep those good grades up, and you can keep those low rates going. For those of you that will complete driver's education after you turn 18, like the course, if you're already 18 years old,
capture,
because you chose to take full driver's ed as a legal adult, you can save some money there too. All right? If you're younger than 18 and you take this course, you save no extra cash. Sorry about that. It's just the rules. And then, of course, going without claims, not having any accidents for 3 years and you'll save on insurance. Don't get any tickets for 3 years and you'll save on insurance. Stay with the same company and you'll save on insurance. Have multiple policies, like get yourself a renter's insurance for that apartment you're renting because you got stuff in there that gets expensive to replace. Pay like $20 a month and have it covered in case the place burns down. And you may wind up saving more than the $20 you pay for the insurance. That actually happened to me. I pay $4 less because I have renter's insurance. It's kind of funny. $4 less than what I would without it, because renter's insurance is super cheap, especially when you're claiming less than $20,000 in stuff. All right. There's a lot of little things we can do. Just be a good driver, and the discounts keep coming. I just hit 5 years, and I got another discount. Unfortunately, premiums in my area are shot through the roof with every company, but thank goodness I only saw a 48% increase, 28% increase instead of a freaking 30% because I'd just gotten a new discount. But oh well, life happens, folks. All right. And do you know what you can do to prevent human trafficking? Okay, we've added to the slides. All right, so resources, Department of Homeland Security, Blue Campaign. Blue Campaign is a national public awareness designed to educate public law enforcement and other industry partners and recognize the indicators of human trafficking and how to appropriately respond to possible cases. All right, let's see, I'm gonna get closer to the TV so I can read this properly because it is new. Blue Campaign works closely with DHS components to develop general awareness trainings as well as specific educational
SWB audio
resources to reduce
capture,
victimization of
not
vulnerable
registered.
populations. Located within the Office of Partnership and Engagement aligned with the DHS Center for Countering Human Trafficking, Blue Campaign leverages partnerships in the private sector, non-governmental organizations, NGO, law enforcement, and state local authorities, maximize national public engagement on anti-human trafficking efforts. Blue Campaign's educational awareness objectives consist of two foundational elements: prevention of human trafficking and protection of exploited persons. One second, I think that was supposed to be a video. You play? It is. One second, I'm trying to figure this out. Alright, so I read that. And there's this. There we go.
My name is May, and this is my story. I came to the US several years ago. I was looking for a way to support my son and my parents in China. A woman I knew back home told me about massage therapy. She said there were plenty of jobs here in massage and that I could make good money to send home. She also said she will help me get massage license and help me learn English. It seemed like a pretty good opportunity. She put me in touch with someone who helped me get a visa, passport, and made all my travel plans. He paid for everything. So from the moment I arrived in New York, I owed him a lot of money for that. I had no choice but to take
SWB
whatever
audio
job he
capture,
arranged,
not registered.
so I could start paying him back. The job itself did not pay much. To make enough, I had to do whatever customers asked for. It was a lot more than massage. I worked there, I lived there. It was not at all what I expected. And it was not a great opportunity to help my family.
Mary,
But I sent home every bit I could. I was doing just for them.
Mary, yeah, Mary, very popular.
I never told my family what I was doing. I just told them everything was going okay and that I was looking for a new job. But I felt trapped. I didn't know anyone in the US. I didn't speak English. I didn't have enough money to live and find a better job.
May was in a bad situation. Coming to a country where she knew no one and didn't speak the language put her in a vulnerable position. Her trafficker brought her here with the intention of exploiting her vulnerabilities. He arranged all the travel plans and even paid for her passport. He offered her a job and a place to live that turned out to be much different than promised. May felt she had no choice but to perform sex acts for money in order to pay him back. But May's story isn't over. She was able to leave the illicit massage
SWV
business,
audio
learn
capture,
English,
not
and get a better
registered.
job. May got the help she needed thanks to the people and services dedicated to helping victims leave the bonds of human trafficking. Recognizing the signs is the first step. If you suspect a massage business is engaged in human trafficking, or you need help leaving your current job, call or text these numbers. People are available to talk, text, or chat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can connect you with service providers who can provide assistance with immigration matters, travel aid, housing, English skills, securing employment, and financial support.
All right, let's see here. Moving forward. All right, so resources. All right, let's see. Department of Homeland Security Blue Campaign. Let's see here. So apparently this is like the flyer that they throw up. It's got that number on there, 1-888-373-7888. All right, and then to report, call 1-844-643-2251. Now, folks, here's an interesting thing about reporting this sort of stuff. Whistleblowers in these situations can often be rewarded, but on top of that, they are definitely protected. If you know a business that you think may be doing this sort of thing, please take it seriously. You know, maybe talk to some of the people that work there if you think that that's going on. And if they like try to make you be real quiet or they get nervous about the situation, maybe you have an issue that you can report. All right, because a lot of these people, their lives are threatened, their families are threatened. You know, there's just bad stuff going on, and they feel trapped, right? And they sometimes, even though there's a phone right there, they just can't reach out. They can't just tell someone, please, I don't want to be doing
audio
this,
capture,
but
not
you know, they
registered.
have my cousins, or they know where my family is, or you know, I owe them thousands of, you know, whatever, right? People have lots of reasons to try to hide this, you know, from shame. Or they've just been coerced. So don't be afraid to be the one that, you know, stands up for them. All right. Now, that is the end of the program. If you need that number, please do rewind it. If you know anyone in that situation that may need a rescue, you know, help them out. Don't let it happen. And it actually does happen down here as well with, you know, people from Mexico. Language barrier is not quite the issue that it is in other places, but the valley is a staging point, and sometimes human trafficking, what you're looking for or what you'll see instead of the exploitation end, you're looking at the movement portion. When I first moved into the apartment that I moved into 11 years ago, when I got my own place after my separation, the next door neighbors were just kind of never there, and I told the landlord, hey, if the neighbors are moving out, because I have literally never seen them in the 3 months that I've been here, my brother's looking to get a place here in McAllen, and I'd love to have him next door. And so he went over there to let him know, and when he did, there was no furniture, there was nothing in there, but there were 6 people hiding in the back room. One of them just happened to be in the bathroom when he popped his head in. He was like, hello, is somebody here? And then finally someone like came and like, hello, in Spanish, mind you. Like, yeah, no, the owner's not here. No, we're waiting for him. They're going to come back later. And then the very next day, the owner gave him a call. He's like, hey, you know what? I am going to be moving out at the end of this month. I will go ahead and drop off this month's rent.
SWV audio capture, Not
we were
registered.
checking on them because rent, or the landlord was checking on them because rent was late, and they were gone. And I was like, you need to call and report that guy. And sure enough, that person, the new place that they moved to, had a half a dozen illegal aliens there because they were stashed for transport, and not all of them were Hispanic. All right, not all of them were from like Honduras or places like that. Some of them were from, Asian countries. So you never know. And for me, that was weird. My landlord totally saved the day for a bunch of people because, he decided to check on the apartment when I asked if it was going to be available. So that was awesome. All right, folks, but that does mean that it's up to me now to say, every day make the world a better place, but first do no harm. Every day make that choice, make that decision, make that change to be the person you want to be, to prepare yourself for the life you want to be the kind of friend you want to be, right? Because we have that power. The person that we are is totally in our hands. The choices that we make, no one can drive us. People can upset us and make us feel like we don't have a choice, but at the end of the day, we always do. Right? And don't forget that, folks, because each and every one of y'all has the potential to be the most amazing person. The only thing holding you back is you. So don't give up. You got this. It may take time, but you can get there. All right, now that is the end of class. That is the final day of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. All right, and today we talked about insurance, buying a car, and then how you can do your hand to help prevent human trafficking. All right, and I didn't know that, but Steve had a story because, like I said, I've had an interesting life. I'm a storyteller, and I remember them. But folks, all right, so if you'd like to hang out for a few minutes, I do have a few words of wisdom for y'all. And those of you watching on the live stream, if you're still here,
SWB audio
good
capture,
not advice,
not registered.
and this advice has helped me a lot. So I hope that y'all want it. Yes, I will be posting the day 15 assignment today and the day 16 assignment, which is due tomorrow, on the same post this evening. But the assignment is due tomorrow. The final exam is due tomorrow. The day 15 is the one you have to get done for today. All right, so you can just take care of that tomorrow. But if you'd like to, you can work at your own pacing if you want to get it done sooner. But it is going to take you a little while to get it done because it's a bunch of questions. Not how I'd want to spend my Friday night. But there's an opportunity there to provide feedback. If there was anything you loved or hated about the class, we'd love to hear about it. So Steve's sage advice for those of you that are still sticking around, and I will continue to answer questions as they come up. Number one, failure's a part of life. All right, we fall down so that we can get back up and prove to ourselves that we're not going to quit. All right, failure is going to happen. All right, but how we respond to failure is going to define who we are, and it's either going to stop us or it's going to keep us moving forward. All right, because those are the two choices you have when you fail. You can either quit right there and pivot, move to something else, or you can stand right back up and keep on going. When my grandfather passed away when I was 18 years old, I quit. I gave up on myself. I stopped attending classes. I failed. I wound up losing my financial aid a year later. Only 6 passed classes out of 10 attempted, or 12 attempted. I shot myself in the foot because I gave up on myself. All right. I worked hard. I got my financial aid back, and I started going to school again. And I was almost done with my degree, and I got rejected from the school that I wanted to go to. I wanted to go into the University of San Diego. I wanted to study veterinary medicine there. I did not get accepted into their program with my incumbent biology degree, and my gallbladder decides to rupture on finals day because I'd been rejected and it didn't matter anymore because I wasn't going to live my dream. I just didn't study for those exams because I didn't take them on finals day. I was in the hospital. I was on the verge of death. It was, we'll take care of you tomorrow morning. Half an hour later, Mr. Norris, we need you in surgery now. I was scared, but that's okay because I made it. Unfortunately, I made it, and then I immediately quit on myself. So because I quit on myself, my financial aid got pulled again. Those 4 classes that I just bombed the finals on because I hadn't studied for them in 4 months when I took them. because they let me retake them, but I never studied, never cracked a book. Didn't do what I had to do to pass because I quit on myself. And so now I'm sitting 6 classes away from a bachelor's degree in biology that will do nothing for me. And right now I'm just trying to fix my trajectory. All right. So failure is going to happen in every life. How we respond to it, as long as you have the assignment due by noon on Saturday or on Sunday, you're good to go. There's no specific time on Saturday. We'll check it. Actually, probably not even Sunday. Like if it's done by noon on Monday, that's when we'll check, and that's when we're going to start calling families, letting them know, hey, your teen is still missing these assignments. Please remind them to get them done. So yeah, just as long as it's done before Monday, you should be fine. But it is due on Saturday. Is it late on Sunday? Yes, it's late. We'll see that it's late. We'll see when it was submitted. But the only thing that's getting delayed is your ability to get your drive scheduled when you don't do your assignments. Because remember, responsibility is
SWV
all on
audio
you.
capture not
Right, so
registered.
when we fail in life, dust yourself off, stand up, and continue. Don't quit, don't give up. And if you see something as a reason why you should stop trying for something, that's because you've made the decision to quit. Right? And we need to be honest with ourselves because stating it honestly, it's because you don't understand it. My mom was everything to me. Yeah, a lot of people's moms are everything to them. A lot of people's moms die, and those people have to continue living because their moms would want them to. All right, regardless of who or what the situation is. I mean, unless you were hit by a train and straight up, in a coma for 3 years, there's no reason to delay anything for that long because you failed. You get up, you keep going. Okay. Number 2, you deserve better. In your friends, in your relationship, and from your peers. You deserve better. All right. Now, what do I mean by you deserve better? I mean, you do not deserve to be treated poorly. All right. So Steve was a big loser in high school. Steve was a big loser in junior high. I didn't socially interact with kids when I was very little. And then I got skipped a grade. And so all the kids were more and more emotionally grown up. They were also larger than me. And Steve made himself an easy target for bullies. And that problem didn't go away for a decade. Or nearly. It was like 8 years. So I made a lot of problems for myself because I was awkward. Oh well, stuff happens. Did I deserve any of that? No. But that's what I got out of life because I made stupid choices and other people were cruel. Okay? But once I became an adult, I was now responsible for who I interacted with. All right? So when I got with my ex, she did not speak to me in a polite way. She did not treat me like she gave a rat's
SWV
about
audio
me.
capture
She
not
insulted
registered.
me. She threatened me with separation or divorce. And I thought it was okay because I had been so lonely for so long that I didn't deserve better. And I put up with this. And then, she became the mother of my children. And now I was stuck, but still thinking that I didn't deserve better. Now, after we separated and I had custody because, good reasons, I realized that I didn't want to be in that kind of relationship. And I realized that I deserve to be happy too. The fact that I was miserable for so long doesn't mean that I deserve to be miserable. Okay? The fact that I was miserable so long is even more reason that I deserve to be happy. So my life became filled with people that made me happy. You do not make me happy, be gone, Satan. You do make me happy, welcome to the fold. All right. Do I treat you well? Do I make you happy? Wonderful, keep me as a friend. Oh, I don't make you happy. I feel bad about you, so you're no longer going to be my friend. I'm sorry I did that. I'm going to try real hard not to do that to somebody else because that's what I'm trying to do. But I'm sorry we can't be friends no more. And boom. Because that's what we do. We deserve better, but we need to be better. We need to be the best us, and we need to expect that of the people around us. Now, are people going to make mistakes? Yeah, because we stumble, we fall, we fail. We stand up, we dust ourselves off, and we keep on going. but you do deserve better. An abusive relationship, one that makes you miserable, one that makes you hate yourself, one that you feel like the other person is domineering you, dominating you, whether that's a friendship, a romantic relationship, or a business relationship, you don't need it. All right? Bosses have a code of conduct they have to stick to, and if they are intimidating you at work, you deserve better. Find a better job, find a better boss. All right? If you're in a relationship and your partner is controlling you, you deserve better. Find a better
SWB audio
relationship.
capture,
If you've got a friend
not
and they only ever
registered.
come to you when they need help, and when you need help they ghost you, find a better friend because you deserve better. You only need to keep the best people in your life. Now, mind you, if you have zero education, zero certification, zero trained skills, and your job is quite literally, like tissue, they can just grab the next one out of the pile of applicants and they've got just as good an employee, technically, then you have a lot less liberty when it comes to that boss. Is there a certain amount of time when we take the permit to then take out the driver's license? Does your permit certificate expire? Okay, so your permit will be valid until the day you turn 18, okay, and then you have to renew it. Any ID, though, you have at that time, you have to renew before you turn 18. You can renew up to 60 days before. If you have the restricted license, it becomes a full license at that point. If you have the permit, you just get issued another permit, and that one won't expire for 8 years. How long do you have to have the permit? Well, you have to maintain a permit for 6 months before you can get a driver's license. That's why we ask y'all, that's why I tell y'all, find 1 hour a month that you can drive and request your drive. And if you don't get that one, find another hour in the month, request the drive, and try to get your drive. Because if you do one every single month, when we get to month 6, you get drive 6 done, then we'll get you scheduled for drive 7 at the next one that works for you that we have available, and then boom, you can go get your license. Do you have to retake and pay for the course if we don't take the driver's license or permit, even if we've taken the class and passed it? Okay, so that certificate we give you is, as is my understanding, valid until you no longer need driver's education. So if you never go get a permit, and then you decide at 24 years old, because at 25 you don't need driver's ed anymore, but you decide at 24, hey, I want to go get my permit, you take that same certificate and the other items required that still apply to you, down to the DMV, give it to them, and they'll check your eyes, take your picture, give you a license. All right? Now, if you get the permit, but you never come for the drives, well, you cannot get the driver's license until you come, until you're 25. Because at 25, you no longer need driver's ed. So once you're done with this, you need to do the 6 or the 7 drives to get the license. To qualify for the license, you have to have the permit for 6 months, watch the impact video, and do the 7 one-hour drives with a qualified driver's ed instructor, since this is what you signed up for. All right? Had y'all signed up for Parent Taught, or we had a Parent Taught program, it would have been Parent Taught, but y'all signed up for Team Driver's Ed, so you do have to get those drives done. You do need to finish those to qualify to take the exam to get your license. If you don't, you can't ever get your license. You can have your permit all the way up until 25, but you'll never have had the license during that time. And then, can you register for drives this month? And would the certificate be mailed to you? You're very welcome, Jackie. Okay, so the certificate is actually going to be given to you in person. The only thing you need to do to get the certificate is pass the DPS exam. And if you've already done that, because it doesn't say DPS next to your name on the list, then the other thing you got to do is pay for the course in full. Why? Because unfortunately, a bunch of people would pay the deposit, $50. We'd give them the certificate, and then they'd never take the class again. They wouldn't do the drives. They wouldn't do anything because they already had the permit, and it looked enough like a license for them. All right? So we no longer issue the certificate until the course has been paid for in full, and before we can issue the certificate, you have to pass the DPS exam. Right? That's the state requirement. The other one's our requirement.
Not
but
registered.
We didn't make that decision because we're a business and we need to stay afloat. Yeah, so we'll give you the certificate in hand. If you've already paid for the course and you've already passed the exam, call the office that you signed up through. If it says FAR on the line that shares your name, then you call and speak to someone in our FAR office. and be like, hey, this is my name. Is my certificate ready? And they'll be like, yes, it's ready. Or no, let me check. Okay, I'm seeing that you paid in full. We can make it. Or, oh, we're seeing that you still owe $50 or $245 or whatever you owe. And then they'll be like, once you pay that, then we can make it. So once we give you the certificate, then you have to get everything on that checklist. And let me grab that real quick. You have to get everything on the checklist, take that down to DMV, and get yourself your driver's license. All right. Now, the last bit of advice that I'm going to give y'all, and then I'm going to continue to explain this stuff. Education, folks. Okay, we fall down, we get back up, because that's what life's all about. Life's about failing and then refusing to give up. Okay? That's all life is. All right. You know, every time he's fighting for his life, darn tootin' they're fighting for their life because they want to live. You want to live a good life, you fight, you don't give up. You fill your life with people that make your life better and leave the trash at the curb. All right, if your significant other is amazing and then they start behaving like trash, like, I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you as trash right away, but I need to break my own heart and get rid of you right now because I deserve better. Someone told me that when I was young, and it's been true my whole life. All right. And then number 3, education, folks. All right, I have screwed up on my education so hard that I am a 41-year-old man struggling to come up with a down payment for my first home. I have rented my entire adult life, and I have gotten no lucky breaks, no lucky gigs. I've had to work hard for everything that I have, and what I don't have and I most desire right now is a home.
Not registered.
Now, conversely, my nephew who went and got himself a degree right out of, well, heck, let's go even better than that. My cousin Sabrina, who is younger than me by 9 months and 15 days, because we were born back in the same year, 81. She has a $350,000 home because 4 years after graduating high school, she'd gotten her bachelor's. 2 years later, she got her master's. And then 3 years after that, she managed to pull out her PhD while holding down a full-time job and working on an incumbent relationship. All right. My cousin Sabrina is now set up to be a millionaire before the day she dies. I have never made more than $40,000 in a year once in my life. Education frickin' matters. All right. Get yourself a certificate program, because without it, you're going to be making $12,000 to $18,000 a year. Okay. Get a certificate like welding, automotive, HVAC repair, nurse's aid. You know, one of those little certificates that you can pick up at a 4-year college. And you stand to make twice that, $24,000 to $36,000. Get yourself a bachelor's degree in something, you stand to make, again, double that. You can make $48,000 to $72,000. Get yourself a master's degree in something, and we're talking $72,000 to $150,000. Very possible. And get yourself a PhD, and we're talking $250,000 paychecks every year if you do one special thing. Get an education that is specifically tied to a career. All right. My general degree in biology, if I finish it off, which I probably will when I'm an old guy and have nothing else to do, I'll be like some 70-year-old dude hitting up the local college just to finish my degree so I can die with one. Right? But here's the deal, folks. My general biology degree lets me be a biology teacher.
Not registered.
Or I can apply and stand well below all the younger people that have more recently gotten their degrees in applying for all the menial jobs that you can get with a biology degree. It's not really fantastic. My buddy Andre had a degree in literature. He had a master's in literature. He ran a bookstore. I love that man. He was absolutely brilliant. I could listen to him wax poetic on analyzing, classic writers. But he sold books at a bookstore that wasn't Barnes & Noble's. So I'm sure you can guess what happened to him when Barnes & Noble's exploded. Yeah, he lost his, been working there for 10 years job at a bookstore and had to apply as a cashier at Barnes & Noble's because they'd already hired all their management in California and moved them over to the new locations that opened up in Texas back when that happened for him. And he relocated for that job too, and it was junk. All right, folks? Because that's what a non-specified degree does. A phlebotomist, though, is a person that specifically deals with drawing blood, all right? A freaking HVAC repair person specifically fixes air conditioning HVAC units, all right? Folks, get a job that is specifically tied to your degree, or a degree that is specifically tied to the job you want. My fiance is studying library sciences because she wants to be a librarian. You have to have that degree to get that job. You have to have your PhD in medicine to become a PhD, medical practitioner, doctor. Get a degree that matches a job. I don't care what it is. Whatever makes you happy, get that. And then if you have no idea what to do, and you have no way to pay for college, you can consider the U.S. military. Any of the 5 branches, because it is technically 5 with the U.S. National Guard, or Army National Guard, counting as its own separate branch because the Army doesn't consider them Army. Right? But joining any one of the 5 branches in the state of Texas, if you have no direction, if you don't know where you want to go, and you need some time to figure it out.
SWB audio capture
as you don't get
not
employed.
registered.
You sign up for 4 years, and then you're going to get the Montgomery GI Bill. You're going to take the ASVAB, and the ASVAB is an entry test that they give you in the military, and it basically tells you what you'll be good at. Even if you don't sign up for the military, if you can take the ASVAB, that will point you in a direction that you'll enjoy. Why? Because the U.S. military figured out a long time ago, give a person a job they love, give a person a job they will enjoy, and they'll be good at, and they will work harder. And so that's what the ASVAB does, is it places you somewhere where you're going to excel. So find out. All right, and if you're like me and they tell you, well, you can do anything, what do you want to do? It doesn't really help narrow things down for the future, but that's some awesome stuff to hear. I got excluded from the things I wanted to, though, because I need glasses. And it's bad enough that I was excluded from piloting and shooting. But, oh well, c'est la vie. All right, another mistake I made, because I should have taken that, because then I would have had, on top of the Montgomery GI Bill, Texas veterans also get the Hazelwood Act. And the Hazelwood Act pays for 150 college hours. Okay, now Montgomery GI Bill pays a money amount. They will pay so much cash. If you get accepted to the most expensive school, let's say Rice University in Texas, you could be spending $10,000, $12,000 a semester. All right, the Hazelwood Act doesn't care. They pay for hours, not money. All right, if you have no direction or no cash, and you really want to go to college eventually, and you know you're not going to be able to pay for it yourself, that's a good way to go. Plus, they teach you to adult. They teach you how to do a lot of the basic things for yourself. You get used to lousy food, so then when, you start eating good food again, will you be happy? All right? And it's something to consider if you have no other direction in life. But don't think that you have zero choices. Oh, we're poor, and none of us have money to do anything, and they can't send me to college, and I'm going to have to get a job right away because, I've got to have money for the food and my car insurance and this and that. And, well, guess what? That takes care of that too, and it gives you life experience. I'm not advocating joining any branch of the military. I'm simply stating that if you don't have another choice, go that way. All right, because it will make a big difference. And that Hazelwood Act, it's not an automatic. They don't tell you about it. You have to apply for it. But if you sign up in the state of Texas for military service, then, or as a Texas resident, then you qualify for it, and it's fan-bloody-tastic. All right, my dipshit brother used it to go to college and paid for his most of his son's stuff with a leftover, because your spouse or descendants, your children, can also use those hours if you don't use them up yourself. That's awesome too, because that means that there's something that can help out your kids, even if maybe you can't. All right, but past that, that's it, folks. That's the advice that helps in life. Now, this right here, getting yourself a permit. Okay, you want a permit? You need the DE 964. That's this guy right here. That's the certificate we give you for completing the exam, paying off your course in full. The lower portion's the one that gets you the permit. The upper portion's the one that we'll send with you once you've done your 7 lessons, so you can get your license. That's why you need to finish the 7 drives to get a driver's license. All right, what else do you need? Well, you also need the proof of identity, legal residence. All right, that's a birth certificate and a social security card, or a passport with a photo, or a state-issued ID. Any one of those will verify that you are a Texas resident. All right, next, you need a proof of residence. That means you need bills proving where specifically you live. The parent that takes you to the DPS has to be the one that has the bills in their name, unless you get a notarized affidavit of residency from us. If you need one of those because the person who the bills are under can't take you because they work, then please let us know when you're picking up your certificate so we can get you that. All right? Next, you need to have your social security number. As of last year, a social security number, a resident alien ID number is required to get your driver's license. But that's simple because at this point, you would have found out at some point someone should have said something, so you shouldn't be here without one of those, so you're good to go. Verification of enrollment, the VOE. That's the one you need from your school that says you are a student there, you are passing your classes, and you have a good attendance record. Now, it doesn't actually say those last two, but if you're not passing your classes and your attendance record sucks, the school might not give you the VOE when you want it. They may make you wait until you were showing good attendance or passing your classes. So strike while the iron's hot on that one, folks. And then the DL14B, all right, and that is this guy right here. Now, this is the certificate, the form that you have to fill out there at DMV. My boss pays for these so that you have them, so it's as simple and easy for you. You go in, you hand them the packet, and you're done. Because the only other thing on this list is $16 cash. That gets you your permit. All right, to get your driver's license, you'll need, well, you'll need your proof of car insurance. You'll need another VOE if you're still in school. You'll need the other half of the certificate that we'll send with you. And it's more money when you get your driver's license. But yeah, other than that, it's all going to be the same, except also you do need to watch that impact before you get a license. But for the permit, you just need to get the stuff on this list. And we give you this list so that you can check all the stuff off as it goes into this envelope, because we give you this too so that you can get everything together, turn it into DPS, and be done. All right, folks, but that's my nickel, that's my time.
SWV
Right,
audio
we are done.
capture, not
Thank you
registered.
so much for the privilege, the pleasure, nay, the honor of being your instructor for Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. All right, folks, I hope to see some of y'all for some of those lessons. But remember, stay on top of those. That's your responsibility. All right, we can tell how many times you've requested. So if you tell your folks, oh, I request all the time, but they never give me drives, and you've requested once, we'll let them know. Right? It's your responsibility to know. It's your license. Go get it. Because I know you can. I know you want it. Even if you're kind of scared of driving, that driver's license is still awesome because the fear will be gone by the time you get it, folks. Right? Driving ain't hard. What's hard is remembering to behave. That's what's tough. We tend to want to be naughty, but we got this. You got this. All right? I have absolute faith in each and every one of y'all got this. All right? So everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Today was day 15 of Teen Driver Education, the Hernandez Driveway. I hope y'all have a fantastic evening, and well, I hope to see you out on the roadways. Bye, everyone. Be safe, be well. Remember, observation saves lives. Keep up with it, and don't let other bad drivers influence you. All right, everyone. Deuces. I will get the day 15 assignment as well as the day 16 assignment posted up right now, and a little inspirational quote from me for you to remember. And thank you so much, everyone.